The listener will recall our introductory tableau, where we discussed the phenomenon of the hot hand in sports. For definiteness, we focused on basketball. Consider a player who historically makes one basket out of every 2 shots that he takes. During the course of a game, he goes on a run and he makes 5 baskets in a row, and we conclude that he has a hot hand. He cannot miss. As we discussed, there are 2 possibilities in front of us. The first goes along with conventional wisdom, to wit, that if a basketball player who is traditionally a 50% shooter, making 1 out of 2 baskets, goes on a streak and hits 5 baskets in a row. Now, 5 baskets in a row would be unusual. The chances of that should be about 1 in 32. If something as unlikely as that happened, then the presumption is that something is going on with the player. He is in an altered state temporarily, where instead of making 1 in every 2 baskets, he is now going to make every basket. And if this is the case, then it is natural for other players on the team to feed him the ball as much as possible so that they can milk his run of successes while the going is good. Of course, this is compelling. We all feel instinctively that this is the case, and we all buy into this phenomenon of the hot hand. We've seen this repeatedly in basketball and in other sports, in tennis and baseball, and so on. But there is another alternative, and that is a counterintuitive suggestion that the string of successes we are seeing amidst many trials is not at all unexpected. That in fact one should expect this, that this is not unusual. Of course, if this is the case, then our feeling about the hot hand is a cognitive illusion. Which of these 2 possibilities is the right one? And we articulated a principled statistical test. William Feller, the probabilist, has asseverated that even strong faith must be fortified by a statistical test. And a test was natural to put together in that context. The string of attempts by the player in question will see a run of successes and failures in some order. And in that admixture somewhere is a subsequence of 5 or more successes in a row. Superficially, this looks like the result of tossing a coin repeatedly. And then our question now becomes, is the particular sequence of attempts at the basket by the player, does that look statistically different from what one would expect if one had tossed a coin repeatedly? Now, if the profile of the attempts at the basket is statistically similar to that of the tossing of a coin, then there is no reason to imagine that the basketball player is doing anything unusual. And this leads to a slogan. The more likely it is that a success run of the observed length occurs somewhere in a sequence of coin tosses, the less the credence we place upon a mysterious hot hand. After all, if the basketball player's attempts at the basket are statistically indistinguishable from tossing a coin repeatedly, then we really have nothing more to say on the matter. It's as if every shot was a 1 in 2 chance, and there's nothing magical which governs runs or strings. Now, when we first postulated this as a basic principle, we said, this sounds reasonable, but technically it looked confounding. It looked difficult to analyze. There were too many pieces moving around, and it was hard to understand how to begin a logical attempt at the problem. But we're all grown up now. We now have a lot of background and tools at our disposal. And now we are equipped to come back to the problem with a principled analysis. This comes up next.